After a season that was eerily similar to the one prior, the Cleveland Cavaliers secure a 4th seed in the Eastern Conference behind an amazing season from their star Donovan Mitchell. Unfortunately, it's clear that the Cavaliers have a lot of room to grow as they struggled to beat the young Magic in the playoffs and got easily dispatched in the next round by the Boston Celtics. What's next for the Cleveland Cavaliers? What's goody? It's your host Jay Rose as always, and today I'm here to talk about the middle child of the NBA, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and what should be next for that organization. Let's get into it. Over 90% of the people that watch my content are not subscribed, so if you're messing with the videos, please hit that sub button and the noti bell so you'll get notified every time I upload. But let's get back to the hoops. As I usually do for these videos, I'm going to start off with how it ended. Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs went absolutely crazy, averaging 29.6 points, and he had 5 30-plus point games, including a 50-point game. And I just feel like he had one of the more incredible playoff runs this year, and there's been a lot of incredible playoff runs. We had Ant Edwards, we had Jalen Brunson. I think Donovan Mitchell is definitely up there with his performances in the first and second round, and I honestly do wish we could have seen more of him. He missed some games in the Celtics series, but overall, when he did play, he looked absolutely astronomical. For the other players on this team, Evan Mobley, he didn't do anything spectacular, but he kept it steady, and honestly, that's fine. I think if you can keep your play pretty much where it is in the regular season going into the playoffs, I can't knock you for that. And especially with Evan Mobley, that's only his 3rd season in the NBA, so I'm not expecting him to come out and really be super spectacular just yet, but the fact that he can keep his numbers steady is very promising. Jarrett Allen, on the other hand, absolutely upped his play, averaging 16 and 10 during the regular season, went up to 17 and 14 in the playoffs, which I think is crazy. And if the Cleveland Cavaliers were to go move him, I think that's a key factor with them getting more pieces. He had a huge jump in the playoffs this year, and I really don't think that can be understated. 17 points and 14 rebounds is very, very good numbers, especially for somebody who you have being the anchor of your defense. I think those are great numbers from Jarrett Allen. The last player on the Cavs that I want to talk about is Darius Garland, because he was not great. His numbers took a dip and his efficiency took a dip, and I feel like Darius Garland just overall hasn't really been the greatest since Donovan Mitchell came to this team, and that leads me into my next portion of the video, is the current issues with this roster. Darius Garland has seemed to hit a hard plateau. I'd say Darius Garland has not improved, and I'd even say he got worse since Donovan Mitchell has gotten here. He's not really being maximized playing alongside Donovan Mitchell. They have very similar styles. They're on ball, very offensive minded guards, and they're both small. So having them both on the court at the same time just makes it very, very redundant. Those two don't really complement each other very well. They do more or less the same thing, and having those kind of dynamics in the NBA isn't really the best recipe for winning games. And we also have another similar problem on this team with Mobley and Allen. They're too similar. They don't fit next to each other together. There's not enough spacing with them both in the backcourt. There's not enough mobility. They both serve the same purpose. Whether you think one is better than the other, that's really up in the air, to be honest. I think Mobley and Allen are very comparable to each other right now, and I think their front office is honestly playing the fence. There's guys here clearly that are older than other guys, and the timelines just aren't mixing very well. I feel like they're very attached to the young core that was before Mitchell came, and now that they have that young core and they've seen how this has gone and played out through the first 2 seasons of this tandem, I'm not very impressed, and I do think that they should pick a lane, whether they want to build for the future or build for right now. I think playing the fence right now is an easy way to have your young players' growth and development get stunted while also not maximizing your window to be really good in the now. What do I think is next for this team? Honestly, there's a couple of different ways that this can go. I've heard a lot of people say that you should either trade the young players or trade the old players, and from what I said with the current issues, you would think that would be my stance as well, but I honestly think it can get a little more complicated and deeper than that. First of all, like I said, I think Allen and Mobley are very comparable to each other, so keeping the older player in this scenario I don't think makes a lot of sense, because if you keep Evan Mobley, he's going to give you just around the same production that Allen gave you, if not more, with an increased role, and giving him your anchor position, giving him the starting center spot instead of having him play power forward. And he's a lot younger, so the upside is obviously going to be there. I think trading Allen and trading one of the 2 guards, whichever lane you choose, the other guard should be gone, in my opinion. So if you choose to build for the now, Darius Garland should be gone and Jarrett Allen. And if you choose to go for the future, it should be Jarrett Allen and Donovan Mitchell. This is really a clear-cut way of getting rid of the redundancy in this lineup. I think keeping Evan Mobley is a must. You just drafted Mobley in 2021. He's only 23 years old. Like I said, just as good as Allen, and he has great upside. So I think giving him an opportunity to maximize his potential is the way to go if you're looking to trade people. I don't think Evan Mobley should be on the trade radar at all, especially since I feel like we know what Jarrett Allen is. I don't think Jarrett Allen's going to get much better than what he's doing right now. I think Evan Mobley, he hasn't really reached his ceiling yet. I think Evan Mobley can be a guy that can average upwards of 20 points and give you that 10, 12 rebounds, but he's not really given the opportunity, having to share the paint with Jarrett Allen. So I think making sure you keep Evan Mobley, slide him over to the center, and then give you a mobile power forward to really complement him so he can guard those other dudes, be out in the perimeter, and he can have the paint. You can have your anchor actually be your anchor instead of making Evan Mobley go out and guard in the perimeter, which is not really his strong suit. My next thing, I personally would trade Darius Garland, and I can see why other people would not want to do that and probably get Mitch off the team and keep the young core. But in my opinion, I don't think Darius Garland is ever going to even come close to the level that Donovan Mitchell is at offensively. And being that that's both their strong suits, I think it's just a smarter idea to keep the player that's solidified now. You know he's a superstar right now, and try to build with him now, because there's only so many players of Donovan Mitchell's level that come through Cleveland. And that's just the fact of the matter. There's only so many players that I can say are on Donovan Mitchell's level or better that have come through the Cleveland Cavaliers organization. So for you to have a guy who's this good, just averaged 30 points in the playoffs, just led y'all to the playoffs while most of your team was injured for a good majority of the year, I honestly would just stick with him. Let him run it. I think the NBA and a lot of these organizations have gotten very comfortable trading stars and trading really good players, but organizations like the Cleveland Cavaliers don't come across these guys too often. So if you have one already on your roster, I don't see why you move him, especially when he's such a hot commodity. It's just not a good move in my opinion. Trading Darius Garland and trading Allen, that will get you a lot of pieces that can help you win now. I think you need a larger defensive oriented shooting guard in order to complement Donovan Mitchell because of his stature and play style, and add that alongside with a mobile power forward and maybe a wing and a glue piece to put it all together. And the Cavs could really have something special. Not to mention, you can still have Evan Mobley grow. And Donovan Mitchell, although he is older than Darius Garland, he's only 27. So if we go 2 years in the future, 3 years in the future, when Donovan Mitchell is 29, 30, and Evan Mobley is 25, 26, those two guys are going to be in their prime. Donovan Mitchell will be in the middle of his prime, and Evan Mobley will be either reaching or at his prime. So I don't think the timeline is so far off to the point where we should be over-exaggerating how old Donovan Mitchell is and looking to move him and keeping Darius Garland, who's only like, 2 years younger than him? I don't think any of this is going to happen. They've had 2 years of this experiment with D. Mitch and this core. They've seen what they got, and it's really led to a 4th seed and a first round out, and then a 4th seed and a second round out. I think that the front office is very comfortable leaving this team where it is, considering that they're having success. They're not bottom of the barrel. They're going to make the playoffs. They have stars. They're going to sell tickets. They're going to sell jerseys. I don't think that the front office is too worried about making the team that much better at the moment. Maybe that will happen more down the line, but I'm just hoping to see some kind of movement, even though I don't really think that they're looking to do that. Get rid of the redundancy, maximize the players that you do keep, and run it like that. Just build a roster around 2 of the 4 guys in your core that you think could be the best tandem, and then we go from there for Cleveland. I honestly think that if they do this correctly, they could be a lot better than they are. I'm not sure what the ceiling is. It might not be championship, especially with the Celtics playing the way they are and a new big 3 in Philly. I'm not sure if the ceiling for this team, no matter what, would be championship, but it definitely would be more competitive than what they are right now.